This is what the feds are alleging. On January 10th, 2026, at 4:50 p.m., Gucci Mane, his cameraman MM, aka Matt Mazral, and someone listed only as BP were kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint at a music studio located in Dallas, Texas. There were 9 people currently charged, including Pooh Shiesty and your client, Big 30. Now, Big 30 just had a bond hearing. What exactly happened?
We just put proof on to show that, 1, he wasn't a flight risk, and 2, that he wasn't a danger to the community. He has no record, no prior record. And so after we were able to put that proof on and to show where he'd be living and that he has employment and actually has another big deal on the table moving forward in his rap career, the judge granted him a bond of $100,000, which he'd have to come up with 10%, wear an ankle monitor, and some other stipulations or requirements.
Okay, so coming up with $10,000 is probably pretty easy for someone like Big 30.
Man, I'm not running no play to go to jail. I'm not sitting in jail for no play. Yeah, I did 3 years in jail. I'm not going to jail running no play. Not at all. Not me. Yeah, not playing no games with the judicial system at all for no money. Not me. Yeah, that shit don't make no sense. So anybody saying this is a play, you tweaking. And Big 30's lawyer sitting down having the conversation is tweaking. Now, you got to remember this, right? Little Durk's attorney sat down and did an interview too. This lets you know that these attorneys, they only care about the check, the notoriety, the fame. They don't care about you per se. You know, they don't care about you. They gonna sit down and get the money. Think about this. If Big 30 go to jail for some time, the lawyer got the notoriety. That's his lawyer. He can write a book. He can do anything off of being noticed about the situation. Man, they don't care.
Oh yeah, we were excited. We're ecstatic. The problem is, I think the government has until 5 o'clock tomorrow to appeal it to the federal judge in Dallas, which means if they do that, which we anticipate they will, then we'll have to go through this whole process again.
Right now, is Big 30 sitting in jail or he's out?
He's sitting in jail and he'll have to wait. If they appeal it, then he'll have to sit in jail until we have the hearing. I think Lontrell's hearing has already been set for next Monday, April 13th in Dallas.
Okay, so if the feds appeal, then you have to wait until next Monday to have another hearing to see if the judge actually accepts the appeal or not?
To see if the judge accepts the terms of the bond conditions, or if the judge could overturn it and say, hey, I'm not granting a bond, or he could say, hey, this is too harsh. We'll give him a lighter bond. He could do, various things. He could either, 1, take the bond away and make him sit in custody until we go to trial. 2, keep the bond conditions and the bond in place. Or 3, he could lower the bond and let him out.
The feds ain't playing. They not playing. Yeah, the feds ain't playing, man. See, the internet then got a lot of these attorneys comfortable. A lot of them. They real comfortable. They ain't care about people before, but a lot of them then just got comfortable. For sure. And they just willing to go talk about some shit that's supposed to be quiet. There ain't supposed to be no conversation about this. When you got a case, man, you ain't supposed to talk about your case at all. Nobody, your attorney, nobody. It's nothing to talk about. Let me fight my case. I don't need you mentioning nothing. I don't need you sitting there trying to explain nothing. I don't need you to do that. I got a case. Yeah. So I wouldn't deal with none of these type of people. Like, hold up, man. That shit crazy.
Well, I hope your client does get bond, because it's a lot better to sit at home than sit in jail for something that may potentially take a long time.
Yeah, particularly when this was not something that really involved him. You know, he has no affiliation to 1017?
He was there. Like, I don't know. Like, today's world is crazy. And I'm just going to keep it a buck. The whole world today is crazy. He said he ain't got no affiliation with 1017. He ain't got nothing to do with it, but he was there. Why the hell did he come then? They just be saying anything.
He's not signed with them. He's been back and forth to Dallas to record music with Pooh Shiesty. As I said earlier, those two have been friends for a long time and have made great music together. They just have a natural bond and they just make good music together.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So Big 30 and Pooh Shiesty grew up together. They went to school in South Memphis, and they started their rap careers right around the same time.
Yeah, that's correct.
And they have a bunch of songs together as well as a friendship.
That's correct.
So let's talk about allegedly what happened. And this is what the feds are laying out. Not that this is necessarily true or not. And this is an active case, and you are the lawyer, so there's certain questions I understand that you can't answer, but I'm just going to go ahead and lay it out based on what everyone is facing right now. So at 1 p.m. on January 10th, 2026, the alleged victims flew to Dallas, Texas. So this is Gucci Mane, his head of security, a second security, as well as his cameraman, Matt, and someone named BP. And according to the feds, Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty were scheduled to meet because Pooh Shiesty was upset about the terms of his contract and he wanted to be released from the contract. So he asked Gucci Mane to come to Dallas so they could meet about business. Anything to state about this?
All I can tell you, and I think I'll keep saying this over and over again, the facts that are alleged in the criminal complaint, we view the facts very differently from the government. And as it relates to Big 30, we really view the facts very differently than the government.
Hey, yo. This shit here crazy. Like, the internet really got these attorneys bugged all the way out. Man, you my lawyer. I want you to worry about the motion we about to put in. I want you to worry about how we gonna fight this case. Understanding, right, that his client is in a situation. You talking to Vlad, that shit don't help your client though. Why? I'm not getting that. You talking to Vlad does not help your client one bit. At all. Straight up. Now, let's just be real with this shit, right? Let's just be real. if this case goes to trial, right? The jury members, they not watching Vlad. Them old people ain't watching no Vlad. Like, I'm just being real. This shit is wild. The jury members be like 50, 60-year-old people. Paying attention to the facts over the case. They not watching Vlad. Like, this is the shit that I want people to really like pay attention to. This shit here, you know, is crazy. You ain't supposed to be talking to nobody about my case at all. Like, you not even supposed to be, oh, I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to say that. That shit, man, I wouldn't want no attorney like this. Nah. Big 30 sitting in the box right now. Straight up. Your attorney going to talk to Vlad ain't going to help you get a bail. That ain't going to get you bailed out.
It's not our belief that Big 30 drove to Dallas to meet with Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty to commit a robbery and a kidnapping. He was there to record music. He had recorded music prior to that day. He had recorded music along with other artists. I think it'll come out in that particular studio. And that was a particular studio that Pooh Shiesty was working out of while he was on home confinement in Dallas, Texas.
They got 5 witnesses that have made a statement about this situation. 5. And the homies, they probably gonna end up telling. And the attorneys on here saying, yeah, he was at the studio to record music, and you supposed to be quiet, worrying about trying to get the bail, putting the motion in. I wouldn't want no attorney like this.
Right, because Pooh Shiesty got out of jail, I think, about 100 days ago after doing 3 years on a 5-year bid.
Correct, but he was still under federal. So even though he was released to the halfway house and eventually put on home confinement, you're still considered to be in custody. And so he was still considered to be in custody and allowed, I think he was allowed to work, which is why he was able to go to the studio to record.
Okay, so based on the federal paperwork, at 1:45, Gucci Mane, along with his head of security and his second security, they arrived at the location, which was a music studio, which was part of a bigger office building. And when they arrived there, the recording studio was closed. So while they're waiting, they went to the liquor store, they bought some liquor and some plastic cups, and they went back to the studio. Now, Pooh Shiesty's father called the studio owner multiple times, and eventually the studio owner answered around 2:53 p.m., and he found out that he was trying to book the studio, so they went ahead and opened the studio at 3:15.
Okay.
So at 3:39, an employee at the studio arrived to help with production, and Pooh Shiesty and his dad were outside, and the feds claimed they were having some sort of argument over the phone. Now, at 3:43 p.m., a few minutes later, Pooh Shiesty's dad, your client, Big 30, Baby Slime 375, KD, CMO Damn Fool, Mookie Roo 375, Glizzy 375, and DeMarcus Glover, they entered the building on the east side. They walked through the lobby, and they were going to the studio, and there's video footage of, photographs and so forth of them actually coming to the studio. So it's established that this group of people did go to the studio at that time.
No, I believe that's what the government is alleging, and I don't think I think there are certain facts that we will all agree, about, and I agree that they were there, and I think the government will be able to show that via video camera. They'll be able to show that from the owner of the studio. I think where we kind of the story differs will be in whether my client engaged to cross state lines with the purpose of kidnapping and robbing Gucci Man on the 9th.
Hey, yo, yeah, this attorney here, that attorney not that smart to me. Yeah, this attorney is not that smart. You go do a Vlad interview, right? The prosecutors are going to look at this interview. That's a fact. They're going to look at this interview. And you sitting in there acting like they wasn't in the studio with Gucci Man. Come on, bro. They got video surveillance. They got surveillance of him at the studio at the time. He acting like, oh, they didn't go to the studio for that. What? This is one of the worst attorneys ever. Yo, man, them boys cooked. Them boys cooked. Them boys is cooked. And the lawyers acting like these people that really prosecute cases haven't done no investigation. Yo, that shit is wild. Y'all hear this shit. This is wild.
Okay, so as everyone's in the studio, according to the federal paperwork, the victims overheard Pooh Shiesty talking on a cell phone to his probation officer. And he was asking if he can get some rec time to be out. And his PO said, no, you cannot be out. You need to remove, you actually need to return immediately. Whereas Pooh Shiesty agreed. He was wearing an ankle monitor the whole time because he was still on house arrest. So at that point, according to the paperwork, Gucci Mane told Pooh Shiesty they could reschedule a studio session. So this was more than a meeting. It seemed like they were going to the studio to actually do music.
Again, like I told you, my client had been there the day before recording music and had been there multiple times to record music with Pooh Shiesty. And again, there were other artists that had come there to record music with Pooh Shiesty, and that was the studio that he was working out of in Dallas. So that doesn't surprise me that that studio was booked to record music.
Well, right, because if it was just a business meeting, it wouldn't be at a studio. They could meet anywhere.
That's right.
Right, but in this case, they're meeting at a studio. Pooh Shiesty tried to get more time from his PO. His PO said, no, you need to go back home. So basically the whole studio session in and of itself got canceled at that point.
Correct. And I think at some point you saw in the video where everybody left.
So Gucci Mane told Pooh Shiesty they could reschedule the studio session, but according to the feds, Pooh Shiesty wanted to speak to Gucci privately in the attached recording room. Gucci agreed, and they entered the room with Gucci, Pooh Shiesty's dad, and Big 30, according to the complaint. And I guess there was a window in the recording room so the people that were still in the lobby could actually see inside, right?
That's according to the government. And again, I think this is where our case differs from the defense perspective. I think we have a different view of what happened in that room that day.
Okay, so at 3:43 p.m., according to surveillance footage, Pooh Shiesty's dad, Big 30, Baby Slime 375, KD, CMO Damn Fool, Mookie Roo 375, Glizzy 375, and DeMarcus Glover entered into the building. Now, they walked into the lobby, but then, according to the paperwork, Mookie Roo 375 could be seen on video exiting the office building, then coming back with a bag slung over his shoulder.
That was according to the testimony from the federal agent from Dallas.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit hazy. So inside the control room, and this is Gucci's there by himself. His security guard is outside the door of the studio, and his other security guard is actually by the car that they drove in. So inside the room, both the rooms in the studio, there's no security, it's just Gucci, his people, and Pooh Shiesty and his people. So this is where it gets a little hazy. Inside the control room, the feds say that Pooh Shiesty pulled out a contract which terminated his agreement with Gucci and told Gucci Mane to sign it. When Gucci declined, Pooh Shiesty became agitated and they started to argue. Now, Matt, the cameraman at BP, could see, inside the recording room, and originally it seemed like they were discussing business, but then when the argument started to ensue, he texted Gucci Mane's head of security, who was still in the lobby. Any comment about that?
If there was a disagreement between two men that are in business together, there was a disagreement between two men that are in business together. Again, that doesn't make it a robbery or a kidnapping.
Okay, so according to the paperwork, as the argument started to ensue, they say that Pooh Shiesty told Big 30 to get his bag. Big 30 complied, and he left the recording room and came back with a bag. And they said that Pooh Shiesty pulled out what appears to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed at Gucci Mane. Now, who is saying this part?
I have no idea, because in the criminal complaint, there's no allegations of Big 30 ever having a gun or pointing a gun at anyone.
Okay, well, it said that Big 30 at this point did not point a gun, but they're claiming that he went and got a bag, gave it to Pooh Shiesty, then Pooh Shiesty pulled a gun out of the bag.
I can't comment on whether that happened or not. I wasn't there. But again, it goes into this narrative that we have a very different view of the facts versus the federal government.
Why are you even having this conversation? Like, why? The case just started. This ain't the time for this, man.
Well, as the complaint goes on, they're saying that Pooh Shiesty demanded that Gucci Mane sign the release paperwork. And then at one point, Gucci Mane did sign, and Pooh Shiesty gave the paperwork to his dad. During that time, they're saying that Gucci was not allowed to leave because of the gun involved. Now, as Gucci is signing the release paperwork, they're saying that Big 30 pulled out a cell phone and started to record Gucci signing over the paperwork. Now, is this recording actually a real thing?
We haven't gotten that deep into the case where we've received discovery, but I feel pretty confident that there's not going to be a video of that.
Okay. Well, but
now I'm going to tell you like this, right? We all know that the feds can go get shit off your phone that you delete. If they did record a video and tried to delete it, oh, the feds going to get that shit. Straight up. They going to get it. They going to get into your phone and they going to get that shit. So we ain't heard nothing about the discovery yet because it didn't come out yet. And this attorney is talking like you ain't got the discovery. You don't even know what they got. You only know what they are alleging. And you talking already? And you really talking about the case that your client is involved with and you haven't seen the discovery? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's out of pocket. That's all the way out of pocket. Straight up.
even if there was a video of Gucci signing, unless he's saying, I'm being forced to sign this, Gucci could have just agreed to sign. They could have just worked out a deal right then and there.
Now, we know Gucci just dropped the diss track, and he specifically says that he was forced to sign under distress. When you listen to this right here, you know the lawyer is like bad news, bro. Gucci just dropped the diss track saying that he signed it under distress, man. Hey, listen, them boys is cooked. I'm gonna tell you straight up. They got kidnapping, robbery. They got some shit. Oh, yeah. Pooh Shiesty's definitely cooked. He's on probation for the same shit. He ain't got a shot. Yeah, Pooh Shiesty ain't got a shot.
That's correct. I mean, but again, like I told you earlier, that has nothing to do with Big 30. He's not signed to that label. He has no interest in Pooh Shiesty being signed or unsigned with 1017. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, after the release was signed, the feds are saying that Pooh Shiesty took Gucci Mane's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash.
I can't comment on any of that. I wasn't in the room. I can comment on the fact that I believe that while Pooh Shiesty was locked up, he didn't receive any funds from Gucci Mane, and his music was still making money. And if there was a debt owed to Pooh Shiesty, I mean, I believe there was a debt owed to Pooh Shiesty. So I don't represent him, so I don't know.
What? Hey, yo, the lawyer need to pack it up, man. I don't know why this lawyer sat down and did this interview. Are you serious? He asked the man about Pooh Shiesty robbing Gucci Mane, and the lawyer said, man, I know he was owed money. He didn't receive any money. How do you know this? How do you know that Pooh Shiesty didn't receive any money while he was locked up? You, Big 30's attorney. How do you know this? Did you check into the financial records to see his bank account and if he got anything? Hey, yo, Vlad, he get these boys in a situation like this every time. Like, this shit is wild.
Okay, so after Gucci Mane signed the paperwork, Pooh Shiesty gave the paperwork to his dad, asked him if the paperwork was good. Shiesty's dad said actually needs a date, so they gave it back to Gucci. He put a date next to it, and then that was it for the alleged contract signing. But then this is where things get crazier. So as Gucci Mane, Pooh Shiesty, his dad, and Big 30 exited the recording room, the remaining subjects, KD, CMO Damn Fool, Baby Slime 375, DeMarcus Glover, Glizzy 375, and Mookie Roo 375 pulled out AK style and AR style guns and started to rob BP and Gucci's cameraman Matt. BP was pushed to the couch. CMO Damn Fool searched his pockets and stole his wallet. BB's chain and necklace, which had a 1017 on it, was stolen. And during the robbery, Glizzy 375 allegedly threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Pooh Shiesty told him not to do it. Now, this part of the situation, and the victims, BP and Matt, actually testified to this whole thing, and Matt had scratches and bruises on him and so forth. What's your comment on this?
Again, we have a very different perspective of what happened. And again, Big 30 is not alleged to have done anything when that occurred. And I think if you look at the video when he's coming there and leaving, you're not going to see him with a weapon.
Okay, well, the cameraman, Matt, got choked from behind, almost losing consciousness, and he was robbed of his Rolex watch, Louis Vuitton bag, which had other watches in it, and there was air tags that were actually in the bags that they took. Now, this is where Big 30 gets pulled into the situation again, because as the...
Hold up. Do y'all hear this shit? Like, come on, man. The bags had air tags in the bag. I'm telling you right now, the feds did not reveal everything they got. I'm just being real. The cameraman choked till he damn near passed out. He got air tags in his bag. They know exactly where the bag went, man. Now, I'm going to tell you, the feds ain't telling them on some real shit everything they got. They ain't telling them if the bag went directly to the hotel. These niggas took the bag somewhere. Straight up. And for what they did in that situation, they wasn't smart. So I don't think they thought about the bag having air tags in it. Hey, man. Let's just be real, man. The situation, it don't look good for him. The lawyer saying, ain't nobody say what Big 30 did. They said Big 30 held the door. He stood by the door. And ain't nobody getting out of here. Nigga, you accomplice everything that happened in there. You did it. When you stand by the door and block the door from nobody going out of here, you liable for everything that happened in there. It ain't no, oh, I didn't do this, and unless you cooperate. That's the only time you able to be accountable for what you did. And I'm going to tell you like this when it come to them people, right? If you cooperate, they'll let you cooperate, yeah. But they want to know what you did first. Before you start saying such and such did this and such did that, they want to know, what did you do? Oh, yeah. The lawyer is having a conversation with Vlad about an open case. For what? Why? Why is he having a conversation about an open case with Vlad? And Vlad knows all the details that the government said. He got everything right there. All his notes is right there. And he's asking them detail by detail about the case. Man, this lawyer ain't smart. This dude went to law school and he ain't smart at all. It's nobody could convince me that this lawyer was smart. Nobody. This case just happened and Vlad is asking them everything that's in the complaint that just came out. Like he's detailing everything that just came out in the complaint. Nigga, what? And I wouldn't want my lawyer doing no shit like this. Hold up, bro. Man, you can't make... Man, I'm glad I got the brain I got. I'm going to be real. I'm glad that I have the brain that I have. You ever got the brain they got, that's your brain. I'm glad that I have the brain that I have. This shit is crazy. This shit's crazy. This is wild.
Robbery was happening inside the studio. The feds are saying that Big 30 walked over to the studio door to the lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing people from leaving. Now, Gucci's head of security tried to get in and try to push their way through, but they're saying the Big 30 barricaded the door. With handguns drawn, Gucci Mane's head of security and the second security partially got the door open, but then realized they were outnumbered by a bunch of other guns that were in the room. So this is where your client gets thrown into a bigger situation.
Again, the way the federal laws work, I mean, okay, this is a federal case because they're saying that he crossed state lines coming from Memphis, Tennessee, or coming from Tennessee, entered into the state of Texas to commit a robbery and to commit kidnapping. That was his intent. So the government has to prove that he had the intent, and that was his reason for coming there. And again, as I've explained, they recorded music in that studio multiple times, and they had recorded music, from my understanding, the day before. And that was his reason for being there.
So now, when his attorney says that, right, I want you to peep this, right? Okay, Big 30 recorded music in the studio the day before. Okay, whoop-de-doo, right? What the feds is going to do, they going to look at, did Pooh Shiesty say 3-4 days before that, a week before that, yo, I'll be at the studio next week. Meet me at the studio at such and such time. So with Big 30's lawyer saying that shit don't hold no weight, because if Pooh Shiesty talked to Gucci Mane a week before, 3 days before, and said, meet me at the studio, just because y'all go to the studio the day before, this was already pre-planned days before that y'all was going to meet Gucci Mane at the studio. What the hell? This is a bad lawyer. I'm not going to lie. It's a bad lawyer. It's a bad lawyer. Why are you even having this conversation, my guy?
So I think you still run into the issue of the intent.
Well, the intent is going to be hard to prove. I get that. But even if you take the intent out of the equation, they're still saying a crime occurred in that studio.
Well, but now the feds are involved, so there has that. If it's a state case, right, then that's different. But this is a federal case, so part of what they have to prove is that there had to that he had the intent of coming across state lines to commit these particular acts. And what's telling to me is if Pooh Shiesty had this gun drawn on Gucci Mane, why isn't he charged with a 924G or 922G?
What is that?
Felon in possession of a handgun. Because he's a felon.
Okay, so you hear the feds taking on state cases sometimes.
See, and what I'm going to say to that, right? The homies that's locked up as well, they might be waiting for one of them to verify what happened. They might need one of them that was there, it's 9 of them now, to verify what happened, and then they come with a superseding indictment. Oh, you better know them people, they playing this game now. In the last situation Pooh Shiesty was in, they got him. They did an investigation and they not revealing everything up front, man.
But can the state take on a Fed case?
The feds can opt out of taking this case and hand it over to the DA in Dallas, and they can decide whether they want to indict it or not. Absolutely.
Are you worried about that?
I think we're confident knowing the facts are very different than what are the facts that are in the criminal complaint and the facts that we know about in this case. We're very confident that we see this very differently.
Can we be real though? On some like real shit though. Can we really like be real, right? The cameraman was a white guy. The cameraman was a white guy, man. He said these things happened in the studio, and they got physical evidence that they documented. We're like on some real shit though, man. On some real shit though, man. Why did he even do this interview? They got physical evidence, pictures, and the cameraman makes this statement of the whole situation. You think that cameraman was all right with being robbed of his Rolex and the watches he had in the bag? He just gonna say, I'm gonna let this shit go. He just gonna say, I ain't worried about nothing. Y'all robbed it. It's a white guy now. Then you got the off-duty police officer that was there. I'm just being real. All right. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
Okay. And by the way, so is the case combined with all 9 co-defendants, or are they going to have separate trials?
Well, if they're going under the guise that this is a conspiracy, then they would try them all together.
I'm going to tell you, though, one thing with me, right? I don't trust attorneys. I'm just going to keep it a buck. You know, I do not trust attorneys. Straight up. I'm not one of them guys. You know, some people, they put all the trust in the attorney. You know, when an attorney says something, they put the trust in them. I don't trust them. That's just me from my experiences. You know, I just don't trust them.
Okay, got it. Well, the Fed paperwork goes on. They're saying that Gucci Mane was pushed onto the couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe they're going to be executed. Pusheisty placed the barrel of a gun to the back of BP's head and ordered him and Gucci Mane to leave the control room and the studio through the west entrance of the office building. So then Gucci told his head of security and his second security to escort them to the vehicle. As the victims were leaving, Gucci's cameraman, Matt, turned to Pusheisty to ask them if they're really taking his watches, which ultimately I guess they did. And after this all happened, they actually got surveillance footage where the target suspects left the studio and the office building around 4:48 p.m. There was AirTag locations where the bag was and so forth. And then exterior surveillance videos showed that a white Buick Enclave, a black Hellcat, and a black Dodge Ram were leaving the location. And the Hearst confirmed that the Buick was actually rented by Pusheisty's dad, and that Big 30's father owned the Hellcat and it had Tennessee license plates on.
I mean, we don't deny that he was there.
Listen to the details, though. Can we be real, though? Listen to the details, man. Listen to these details. Can we be real, man? They got details, man. This is detailed, man. This shit is too detailed. It's too detailed, man. I'm just being real. It's too detailed. From in the studio, what was said, what exit they went out of, the camera catch here. It's too detailed, man. It's too detailed. Hey, listen. Man, that shit too detailed, man. It's too detailed. I ain't even gonna lie. That shit, it's too detailed.
I think what we deny is that he was there with the intent to commit a robbery and a kidnapping.
Well,
so say they deny, right, that they was there to commit a robbery and a kidnapping, right? And then Gucci Mane say, I got robbed and I was forced to sign the contract, and they block the door. And Matt say this. And the other guy say this. And the other guy say this. And the other guy say it. Who you think the jury gonna believe? On some real shit though. Who you think they go? It's too much technology to be committing crimes. It's too much. It's too much technology to be committing crimes. They got the air tags in the bag. Then you got the witnesses. They got the tags of the cars. And come on now. Now I'm gonna tell you, right? This is something that you gotta think about, right? They got 9 people indicted on the case, right? 9 people. Majority of the guys there ain't got no paper. The guys that just came to be with the crew and pull shiesty, right? Now, when I think about this, right? Just keeping it real. When the feds produced the discovery and then the attorneys show the clients this, right? The discovery and what's all being said. And the clients that really didn't do nothing, that they was just there, and they start seeing that these details match up what really happened, right? Say if this is it, right? If the details align with what happened, you think that the niggas there, I'm trying to tell you, you can't get a whole bunch of black people together and it be a crime. And then niggas start telling the details about the crime. And then the niggas that didn't do nothing, they be like, man, shit, I'm going to trial. And the attorney starts saying, well, you know, being though that you was there, and even though you didn't do anything, you still guilty as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's up to you if you want to take a deal or if you want to fight. You know, we got a chance of fighting, but you went there and this is what they saying, right? You think that niggas that didn't do nothing, they gonna hold up? You think so? In my eyes, for me seeing this shit done over and over, because dudes don't be going to trial, man. A lot of people are scared of that. A lot of people is scared of that. You know, I'm just saying.
Pooh Shiesty and his dad went back to an apartment because I guess Pooh Shiesty was living in Dallas at the time.
Yeah, he stays there while he's on home confinement.
Right. So him and his dad go back.
Oh, I gotta say this. You said if anybody get bail in this case, the case is not strong. I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with that. Because Future's brother got a bail, and they caught him with the bricks, red-handed. They caught the brother red-handed with the bricks. Red-handed now. Hand in the cookie jar. So a nigga can get a bail if they gonna cooperate. So I don't agree with that one. We just seen Future brother get caught with bricks, money and work, and they gave him a bail. Niggas at work and they give you a bail too now.
Back to their apartment. Big 30 and all the other guys go to a hotel at the Comfort Inn where they stayed overnight. But I guess the Hellcat was stolen the next morning.
Yeah, yeah. That's
crazy.
That is crazy. That's wild.
Right. So then the next day, DeMarcus Glover, CMO Damn Fool, Mookie Rue 375, and Glizzy 375. They jumped on a Greyhound and they went back to Memphis, Tennessee. Big 30, Baby Slime 375, and KD. They jumped in the Dodge Ram and they went back to Memphis, Tennessee also. Now, after the fact, Dallas Police Department found fingerprints from a couple of the members from Pooh's entourage on the cups in the room, which kind of basically helps establish that they were all in the room hanging out together. Not that anything happened, but their fingerprints were on the cups. They were drinking. Now, Gucci Mane and his cameraman Matt described Pooh Shiesty as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, a black hooded shirt, and black pants during the offense. So does this imply that Gucci Mane actually is cooperating with the feds?
It sounds like it from your dissertation, but also, I mean, this weekend we saw a video where he came out and said that he wasn't cooperating with the police. That's not what he does. And I'm paraphrasing, but basically, or essentially, he's not cooperating in this investigation, which I find somewhat odd based on some of the facts that are in the criminal complaint, basically saying that they got the information from Gucci Mane.
Just like I said, the feds haven't gave them a discovery yet. This attorney is talking and don't even know the facts from the discovery. He's just talking. And this interview dropped before Gucci Mane put out his song. Before Gucci Mane put out the song. Now the song came out. Everybody hear the song. Gucci's explaining the crime in the damn song. He's explaining the crime in the song.
Well, right, because according to the complaint, Gucci Mane, Matt, and BP identified Big 30 actually being present during the incident. So once again, it seemed like Gucci was cooperating with the feds by pointing the finger at your client.
It would sound that way, so I'm not sure whether to believe what he said over the weekend or what's in this criminal complaint. And that's sort of leaves me scratching my head as...
Man, that video that came out from Gucci, man, I think that was an old video. I think that was some old shit that was circulating around. I don't think that was some new shit. The attorney just talking.
To this whole case. Because it sounds like it may have emanated from some type of state complaint that was eventually taken over by the feds. But we're not deep enough into the case to know how it came about.
So why are you even talking? Why are you even having a conversation about anything? If you know y'all don't have all the facts, why are you even talking?
Well, this is where it gets crazier. So on the surveillance footage after the alleged robbery, CMO Damn Fool was seen exiting the building carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, which the cameraman Matt had reported stolen. And then on January 15th, CMO Damn Fool, a very fitting name, by the way, started posting videos of him wearing a Rolex GMT Master 2, which appears to be the same watch that Matt had actually declared was stolen. Then there was another person who was there who, I believe it was DeMarcus, who he said had choked and scratched him. They found his Instagram page, and he had videos of wearing a 1017 necklace and also showing off a bunch of cash and a Rolex similar to one of the ones stolen by Matt. So basically, what the feds are saying is that Pooh Shiesty crew started self-snitching. They started posting up stolen items from this alleged robbery.
I can't comment on what they posted on their Instagram page. I can't comment about whether they own Rolexes or whether they had a 1017 chain through Pooh Shiesty or Gucci Mane or somebody else affiliated with the label. And again, it still goes back to how do we corroborate the facts that are in that complaint? You corroborate those facts but with evidence. And from what has been testified to at this point, there's been no physical evidence that corroborates the things that you're saying happened and occurred on that day.
This how all the attorneys do. And when they get the discovery, it be something else. And when they get the discovery, everything gonna sound different when they get the discovery. Everything. The attorney gonna have the opposite to say about everything.
Well, when it comes to your client, this is the Fed's overall accusations.
That it was a conspiracy, correct?
Right. Well, according to the Feds, when it comes to Big 30, they said that eyewitness accounts state that Big 30 went to the recording studio during Pooh Shiesty's conversation with Gucci Mane and returned with a bag containing firearms. Eyewitnesses' accounts state that Big 30 filmed the release of the contract. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts placed Big 30 at the location, and following the offense, he was wearing similar clothing to what suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. And then cell phone records indicate that Big 30 traveled to Dallas, Texas in a vehicle registered to his father prior to the offense, and that places him in the area of the offense during the actual situation. And cell phone records indicate that Big 30 traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee with other target suspects on January 13th, 2026. So some of these are indisputable.
And that's what I said to you earlier. I mean, some of the facts in the case, we're not going to disagree about. But I think the meat of what happened is sort of where we have a disagreement with the government. And you think about the guys that, I mean, and this is just common sense, Vlad, like the guys that rode back on the Greyhound. I mean, the car that was rented for them, probably once it got stolen, they had to take a bus back to Memphis instead of driving back to Memphis. So, and two, if there was some conspiracy to commit some big robbery, why would they go back to the same hotel they were staying at, spend the night, and just?
Why did they do whatever they did, man?
Just hang out and then leave the next day. I mean, that's sort of common sense would say.
Man, they didn't have no damn common sense, man. None of them, man.
Hey, if they had committed this robbery, like, let's get on the road and get back to Memphis, or, it just, some of it doesn't jibe well with what's being said. It just, the behavior.
Well, as Big 30's lawyer, what is your version of the events?
I can't go into I can't go into what my client and I have spoken about, obviously, for attorney-client purposes. All I can say is that we have a very different view and version of what happened today.
Are there plea deals on the table right now for Big 30 to cooperate?
Right now, there's a criminal complaint. They haven't been indicted. I would expect there to be an indictment very soon. And I think the criminal complaint gives you an indication of what the indictment will probably look like, if there is one.
Well, it was reported that Pooh Shiesty's dad didn't get bond, but that was actually false because he did get bond.
Correct.
How big was the bond?
I think it was $250,000, 10%.
Okay, so he put up $25,000.
Correct.
And now he's out. Are any other co-defendants on bond?
So from my understanding today, everyone was granted a bond except the last person in the criminal complaint, and I can't remember his last name. And Mr. Rogers that's in Atlanta, being held in Atlanta, has also been denied bond. So it's my understanding that everybody was given a bond except for Mr. Rogers, and there was another individual, the last name in that criminal complaint.
Okay. So, but is Pooh Shiesty's dad the only one that's actually out right now on bond?
Nobody's out.
Oh, even Pooh Shiesty's dad's not out?
Yeah, so those bonds those bonds are going to be appealed. It's my understanding they'll be appealed to the district judge in Dallas, and we'll have to go back and have the entire hearing over again, the entire detention hearing over again.
Got it. So what's applying to Big 30 is applying to every other co-defendant.
Everyone that's been granted a bond.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. The bond
Because
part.
the government is basically saying we don't agree with the magistrate's ruling, and we want the sitting judge to hear to help to rehear the detention hearing on all these individuals that were granted bonds.
Well, if this does go to trial, will every co-defendant have a separate lawyer, or will there be one central lawyer and a legal team representing everyone at once?
No, everyone will have their own counsel. And sometimes in cases like this, if everybody is working together, you can have a joint defense agreement where all the individuals agree to work together. Typically in federal cases, if somebody flips and becomes a cooperating witness for the government, then they wouldn't go to trial, obviously. They would be a witness.
So they would be severed from the case, in a way, severed from the defense.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
I'm not saying that there's a joint defense agreement right now. I'm saying that's potentially a possibility, but everybody will have their own counsel, and everybody will have to decide based on the evidence what's in their best interest going forward. The interesting part from our perspective will be if you have cooperating victims. Because in the past, in the past, I handled cases involving where a young Dolph was a victim, or alleged victim. I represented Black Youngster in Charlotte, and there were two other individuals charged along with Black Youngster. We were successful in getting that case dismissed, and we worked really hard to get them dismissed prior to trial. But the other issue was young Dolph was not a cooperating victim or alleged victim.
Right, because from what I understand, this whole case will probably hinge on Gucci Mane not just cooperating, but actually taking the stand.
That's correct.
Right, because if Gucci says, no comment, I'm not going to show up, could he be forced to actually show up in Memphis? Because he lives in Georgia.
The alleged incident
Or
happened in
Dallas, my bad.
He would have to show up in Dallas if he's subpoenaed, but he could plead the fifth, because if the story that he initially told, if he did tell the story, is not true, then he would have, filed a false complaint. But again, looking at what he said this weekend, unless he's just putting that out there for the public so that people don't think that he's a cooperating witness with the government, he has nothing to do with this case.
I mean, look, I have a interview from, I think, about 20 years ago with Gucci Mane, where he said on camera that he would rather die than snitch.
I never snitch on a nigga. Where we from, we won't do that. For real. This East Carolina Zone said, niggas I fuck with my crew, we won't do that. We won't snitch on niggas. We stand down for ourselves. Like, if I gotta go, I'm gonna go. I done went before. I don't want to snitch on a nigga to save nobody's life, not even my own. I die.
He says that on camera. He says he would never snitch, not even against his own enemies. He'd rather die than snitch. So now, when this paperwork has gotten released, and there seems to be some indications of Gucci Mane cooperating, like there's videos of people in prison throwing out their Gucci Mane book, because now they consider him a snitch and everything else like that. And I mean, if you think about it, like Gucci is one of the main anti-snitch type rappers ever.
Well, and this is nothing to do with the case per se, but just one of the things that I thought about before coming over here today to sit down with you was, why would you want to put your best artist that's made you millions of dollars back in federal custody for a decade or more. Right? Like, it doesn't make sense. Because he drops FDO. It's the #1 song in the world, right? And he's signed to your label. So why would you want to put him back into custody when potentially Pooh Shiesty could make you millions and millions of dollars more?
Well, but there is a theory about this, right?
This how you know that shit really happened. This is how you know it really happened. The lawyer is saying, like, why would you want to put your moneymaker in jail? It's letting you know this shit really happened. Yeah, they really robbed them people. It was multiple people that got robbed.
And I tweeted about this and posted on Instagram, and it went viral like a lot of my stuff does. And here's a possible dilemma. I'm not saying this is the truth, but here's a possible dilemma. From the outside looking in, it appears that Gucci signed this release under duress. Now, if it's proven that it was signed under duress, then the contract gets thrown out and Pooh Shiesty is still signed to Gucci for however many albums. But if Gucci says nothing happened, I'm not going to say that it was signed under duress, then the release is valid. And Pooh Shiesty is no longer signed to a Gucci Mane. So there's that angle to look at. I don't know how serious it is. Me personally, if I was Gucci, I would just let it go. You know, at the end of the day, he's already made money off Pooh Shiesty. And if the alternative is sending Pooh Shiesty to prison, I would just say, I'm not going to cooperate. But then again, people get greedy and sometimes they're just going after every dollar. So I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a theory in this case.
Well, I think even from a legal perspective, nobody has produced this document. Like, because that would be some corroborating evidence.
Right.
So let's say the feds say, all right, we don't feel like we have enough to go forward. And then a few years later, they produce this document. Now you've corroborated the criminal complaint. That's a piece of evidence.
Well, yeah, I mean, until the document is produced, Pooh Shiesty is still signed to Gucci Mane right now, as we speak, until it's officially produced and Atlantic Records gets notified or whatever.
He probably still signed to him based on this theory that it was signed under duress.
Well, Pooh Shiesty has two lawyers, from what I understand. Attorney Bradford Cohen and Gary Helms. Are you familiar with these two?
I've heard of Gary Helms. I've never worked with them.
Well, Bradford Cohen said that there is a significant gap between the allegations made by the government and the actual evidence. And Gary Helms said the defense will present a version of events that is significantly different from the federal indictment. And the defense team has denounced the claims of the feds, and they're focusing on reviewing the evidence in anticipation of the bond hearings. So have you talked to Pooh Shiesty's lawyers? And are you guys working together in any capacity? Because at the end of the day, Big 30 is not the target of the feds. It's really Pooh Shiesty.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I would anticipate I would speak to them. And again, I think what they're saying is the same thing that I'm saying, right? That there's the government's version, and then there's our version. And our version is that my client didn't commit any didn't commit any crimes, didn't break any laws, and then traveled to Dallas, Texas, across state lines from Tennessee with the intent to commit a robbery and a kidnapping.
Well, Arthur Horn, I appreciate you coming in and talking about the case. It's still very much an open case. Your client is still sitting in jail along with 8 other co-defendants. It really is a tragedy, man, on a lot of different levels because, like you had said earlier, Pooh Shiesty, he got out, I think it was like 112 days ago. dropped first day out. It became a huge song. Everybody was back on the Pooh Shiesty wave. And, I hope that what really happened isn't the truth, because at the end of the day, I feel like Pooh Shiesty had a very long career ahead of him. And yeah, a lot of people sign bad deals. That's just how it works, especially as new artists. But eventually the deal ends and they go on to have even bigger deals, because then there's a bidding war over your next deal. And they go on to have more hit songs and big concerts and everything else like that. So at the end of the day, I hope this is all disproven and he can go back to having his career, as well as your client having a career as well, and so forth. But this is really a very crazy situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that it has come to this. I mean, you saw with Meg Thee Stallion. I mean, she was able to, for years she was disgruntled with her label, and they were able to, her and I think Carl were able to work something out. Now you're watching Finesse, who's also a Memphian. He's not happy with Jay Prince. And I would think that at some point that might get resolved as well. And so hopefully we'll have a good outcome for both of these young men, and they can go back to making music and doing what they do best.
Yeah, look, the music industry is a very crazy business. I've said this before, that business-wise, you'll have more financial success in buying scratch-off lottery tickets than signing a brand new artist and trying to break that artist from scratch. It's almost impossible. Out of 1,000 artists that come out every year, not only through major labels, independent labels, the local D-boy that wants to invest in the hot rapper on his block, the real estate guy who thinks he has an ear for music and wants to start a label, the dentist that has extra money that thinks that he's a musical genius. Artists come out every day and 99% of them go absolutely nowhere, and the label loses all the money they invested in them. So when you have an artist like a Pooh Shiesty, and take a look at all the artists that Gucci Mane has signed over the years.
Right.
Most of them went nowhere, right? Most of them. This is not me criticizing Gucci. This is just the nature of these types of businesses. A lot of them, ended up going to jail, unfortunately, because they continued the lifestyle that they were doing before they signed. Some of them ended up losing their life, and some of them ended up just not working out. So when you have an artist like Pooh Shiesty who ends up blowing up, a lot of times these deals are not advantageous to the new artist, because the label owner, in this case Gucci, has to recoup on all the other artists that he lost money on. Now, the second deal is always the really good deal, but the first deal is always going to be messed up. So, for all the artists watching this right now, if you're in a Pooh Shiesty situation, man, just get in the studio, put out whatever projects you're required to put out through that deal, and then go on and sign some huge deal.
Call your lawyer. Let us handle it.
Call your lawyer.
Call your lawyer. We'll get it done.
Call your lawyer, man. Don't try to handle it. Don't try to handle it on your own, man. Not to say this happened. But at the end of the day, I know it gets frustrating and dealing with lawyers. Listen, I've spent over $1 million in lawyers, right? Through the course of my career. Over $1 million.
It's a love-hating relationship with us.
But you know something? I've also made, in the long run, I've made money by spending that $1 million. I would have lost way more than $1 million had I not spent it.
And
you have to invest in your lawyers. And you have to have great lawyers also. Don't try to get your dad's friend who, is probably a crap lawyer who's giving you a good deal. Find the best people that you could possibly find, and they're going to be expensive.
Right. Well, and think about this, Vlad. This is the last thing I want to say is, it's sad that in the rap industry that it's kind of bittersweet when somebody gets arrested and goes through something like this. From a marketing standpoint, it helps them. It helps the record sales. It helps.
Oh yeah.
Like once this is resolved and it's resolved favorably, it's like you can't pay for that marketing, and that's the weird part of the music industry, especially rap music.
Oh, yeah. Pooh Shiesty streams are going through the roof. I'm sure Big 30 streams are going through the roof. And actually, what's ironic is that Gucci Mane streams are going through the roof right now as well.
Right.
The alleged victim, his streams are going through the roof. So, yeah, man. But at the end of the day, I think all the men involved, in this case who are rappers, I think they all wish that their streams were where they were before and none of this ever happened.
I would agree with you. Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully
this
we'll
is not,
we'll get
this
a
is not
good
a win.
result.
This is not a win for anybody.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It could turn out to be a win for everybody.
Yeah, but going through this in order to get to the finish line for that type of win, I don't think is worth it. Sitting in jail, potentially these things drag on for years. Like look at, for example, not to say it's the same kind of case, but the YNW Melly case, he's been locked up for I think 6 years, no bond, one trial, mistrial, back to trial again, no bond, sitting there for it's coming up on a decade now. I think it might even be 7 years at this point. These cases could drag on if people are not given bond. They're sitting in jail. They can't make any money. They can't see their families. It's not a cool situation, and it's not. Especially someone for a Pooh Shiesty that was really on fire, and he just got out. He just got out.
And for somebody like 30 that does do good things in the community, he goes back and gives back to the schools and the kids, and they love him. And I mean, he's had 5 or 6 platinum and gold songs, and those two, when they get together, they just, I mean, it's just, they make good music, and and I think everybody's salivating, waiting for it because they know it's coming, and so that's unfortunate.
Listen, in a perfect world, Gucci Mane is going to get on the stand and say, none of this ever happened. It was just a conversation. We were playing around. We were joking. And yeah, I let him out of the contract. I made a bunch of money with him. I love him as an artist. And there you go. And if I'm perjuring myself, then I'll do my little 30 days in jail and go back to being the OG that I was before. That's what I hope.
You sound like you have a crystal ball, Vlad. So maybe you do.
That's what it is. Arthur Horn, man, appreciate you coming in, and I hope the best happens with your client, Big 30.
I do too. We're going to work hard, and I'm going to take care of my guy.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. D Twins, appreciate you gifting that membership. Mike, he said, DZ, gotta pay attention. Why does he keep saying didn't travel there with intent to rob? Never heard it said like that. Who cares about the intent if it happened? I think he's saying that to try to disassociate Big 30 with Pooh Shiesty, and whatever he might have talked to Gucci Mane days before, letting him know that he was going to meet him there. But yeah, I do hear what you're saying. He's saying that he didn't come with the intent to rob. So they trying to establish that. But we're going to see when the discovery come out. Yeah, we're going to see when the discovery come out. You got to go to war. They got to go to war, But I just think, when you got a whole bunch of people on the case, they're not going to go to war. That's why you got to move by yourself. You know what I mean? You got to move by yourself, man. You got to move by yourself. There's too many people on the case. I can't see all of the people holding up. I just can't see it. I don't see it. I mean, it can happen, but I just don't see it. It's too many people. You would have been, Pooh Shiesty would have went up there by itself and something would have happened, then, it'd been different. But it's too many people in that damn case. Too many. 9 jokers. Come on, man. 9 jokers. Somebody gonna tell. Yeah, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. Shout out to all y'all that rock with the channel, man. I appreciate y'all. Hey, man, one thing about DZ, I'm just gonna keep it real. It's a lot of YouTubers that be, they be selling the content with some foo-fafi shit. I ain't there. I'm not there. That ain't how I do it. You know what I'm saying? And I just keep it a buck. You know what I mean? Everybody might not agree with me. And that's life. Everybody gonna have their own opinion and outlook on how they look at shit. But I'm saying shit from me being in the street, experience. I've been to trial 5 times. I picked 5 juries. 5. Yeah. 5 times. So I just know that, you know, shit be crazy. And I know these niggas ain't going to trial. Now, if I felt like, you know, these niggas was going to go to trial, then, you know, I would look at it a little different. You know what I mean? But I don't think these niggas going to go to trial. I don't be seeing, everybody ain't built for trial. Niggas be out here doing goofy shit, committing crimes and shit like that. And then when they come to the trial, you think about it, they got witnesses. Nigga don't want to go up against them witnesses. It's not about the setback. It's about the get back. Nah.
Came out the mud, now we map out the stuff. Hands on the wheel, got my life in the car. Up and down roads, they said ain't for me. Now I run routes like a wide body Jeep. Selling work out the trunk, I was freezing at lights. Eating chips for dinner, counting quarters at night. Now it's bags in the back, got them strapped to the seats. Every mile one prayer, one now police. State line after state line, I was chasing a shot at mile marker, felt like a ticking clock. Hit a rest stop shower just to rinse off the pain. Then I double that flip, did it all again. Highway